What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Busy Life Podcast. My name is Julie, and before we start today, I really just want to pause. And first of all, to those of you who are listening in January of 2024, I want to say Happy New Year. And to those of you who have been listening for a very long time, I just want to say thank you so much. We are approaching a year on this podcast. It was January of 2023 that this podcast was in the making. I did my photo shoot for my cover. I started editing. I started learning about it. And granted, I had been doing it before January, but it was when I really started to feel like, okay, this podcast is happening. And we really started making it official. As small as my team is, it's been amazing. And I've been so thankful for it all. And yeah, she was born in March of last year, 2023. So if you've been a fan since then, thank you so much. If you are new here, hi, welcome. We are so thankful that you are here. And I hope that you find what you are looking for when you come here. I want this podcast to be a place where people feel safe, where they don't feel judged, and where they feel pushed to do their best, because we all live busy lifestyles. It is very hard to fit in the things that we want to fit in sometimes, and that's normal. We are human, and there is nothing wrong with that. I mean, gosh, even the other night, I got 3 hours of sleep like 3 nights in a row, and I still showed up. Perfectly? Absolutely not. So that's the other thing, is that this podcast is a place for you to allow yourself grace and to allow yourself a space to say, you know what, I did my best. Or even for you to allow yourself a space where you say, you know what, I I could be doing better. And a place for you to hold yourself accountable, from health and fitness topics to mental health to, supporting other women and hearing about other businesses that women are doing that are friends of mine or family members of mine, or new people that I'm meeting that we're on this journey with together, where we're supporting one another to a greater good. That's what it's all about. It's about a sense of community where we bring people together and let everybody know that no matter what you've got going on in your life, you can do it. You might not be able to do it 100% perfectly, because honestly, nobody should be able to do anything perfectly. Like I said, we're humans. That's just not in our DNA. The universe will not allow it. But you still have it in you to do whatever it is your heart desires. What you got to do now is you got to put in the work. So thank you, whether you are a new listener, not old, but a veteran listener. Just thank you, thank you, thank you. And what I want to talk about today is something that is actually, according to you guys, very hard to do. Now, as you guys know, I am a NASM certified personal trainer. I have been a personal trainer now for 5 years, and it has been one of the best jobs I've had. From coaching people online to coaching people at an actual gym to even just making programs for friends and family or for strangers and letting them follow them has been such an honor. And the number one thing I hear people say is they want to lose weight. I want to lose body fat. I want to look thinner. I want my belly to be smaller. You know what I want? I want my waistline to be smaller, but I want my butt to be stronger and bigger too. Oh, but you know what? I also want my wings under my arms to go away. Can you do that, Julie? Ooh, can you give me a thigh gap? Can you make it so that I don't have thunder thighs? I've heard it all. I also have my certification in nutrition coaching and my certification in women's health specializations as well. So almost all of my clients have been women, from women who are pregnant to women who are in their reproductive years to women who are going through menopause, women who are finished with menopause or in perimenopause, you name it. It became a specialization of mine when I learned that I just wanted to know more about my own body. And the male body is pretty lucky because majority of text and articles out there, they're about you guys. So you guys are lucky. But us women, it is so much more complicated than we would like it to be. So I decided to learn more about my body and the female body. And also know that not every body is the same. So my body might function in a certain way, and it might not be the way that your body wants to function. Yes, we all have general similarities, but what works for me might not work for you, and what works for you might not work for me. Granted, there are still things that we need to be doing that are safe, things that we need to be doing to make sure that our bodies function properly, and things we need to be doing to just make sure that we actually get the results we want. So, something that many of my clients like to do this time of year is a calorie cut. And I know a lot of you have heard this term on Instagram or any kind of social media. Oh, I'm starting a cut. I'm starting a this. I'm starting a that. Oh, I'm going to lose weight. I'm going to do this. I'm going to shred. I'm going to tone up. I mean, whatever term you hear, firm, get firm. I mean, I've heard them all. Essentially, what that means is they are going to cut their calories so that they can lose weight. Now, the thing with that is I want to dissect it because it sounds like, oh, I get to just get a hammer and chisel away body fat. Wrong. What it really just means is you're going to lose weight. From water weight to muscle to body fat, you're just going to lose weight. And that's not a bad thing. A lot of people still use a scale, and there is nothing right or wrong when it comes to using a scale. It's really personal preference. Um, but you can't choose where you put on weight, and therefore you can't choose where you lose weight. So I want to go through a couple things. I want to give you some tips that I have for starting a cut. I want to tell you why you should do it. You know, when is a good time to do it? When is not a good time to do it? How do you do it? And I also want to go through some things that you got to be aware of. And you know what? I'm actually going to start with that right here. You know what you want to be aware of? You want to be aware of any ad or program that is A, not written by a certified personal trainer, and B, promises you unrealistic results. That means they say, ooh, drink this shake and you'll be down 15 pounds in 2 weeks. Woo! The fuck you will. No, you won't. When you follow plans like that, hey, get abs in 4 weeks, rock hard abs that look like mine that I've been training for 7 years. Those kind of programs are just trying to get your money. I mean, I get it. Aren't we all trying to make a living here? We're trying to create programs, we're trying to produce content that goes out into the world and reaches people and helps us create an income to support our daily living. I get it. But be careful, guys. A lot of the programs and I guess plans that are out there, websites, YouTube videos, they're not all created equally. They are not all created by certified personal trainers, meaning they might not know what they're doing. And they are promising you unrealistic results to just get the views or to get your money. And you're going to fall for it because you're going to want the abs in 4 weeks. And then you know what's going to happen is 4 weeks are going to go by. Yes, you maybe are feeling stronger. You might be feeling, more energized, but you won't have the rock hard abs in 4 weeks. So you're going to be upset. And then you might binge and you might fall because I've been there. I've done that. I've done programs before that, oh, but she does it and on Instagram she looks amazing. Well, you know what? How long has she been doing these workouts? She's been doing them for years. No wonder she has abs. There's so much more to the story. And honestly, when you Google how to lose body fat, you want to know what comes up? A bunch of different diet culture articles that are all about 5 ways to lose body fat, 5 foods to lose body fat in 5 days, lose 7 pounds in 7 days. I mean, it's all there. Now, stuff that they say, some of the things that they say, they're not false. It's just not going to happen in 5 days. It's not going to happen in 4 weeks. It happens over time. Mel Robbins says that change genuinely takes a year. And I agree. The person I was January of 2023 is a totally different person than the person I am in January 2024. And even when it comes to losing weight, I'm not saying it's going to take you a year to lose 10 pounds, but I'm also saying it's not going to take you 4 weeks. You got to be realistic. You got to give yourself time, and you got to remember to not fall for the gimmick plans. Now, okay, well, Julie, I'm a beginner. I don't know where to start. So these plans look appealing to me. I like following this person. I'm not saying don't do it at all. I'm just saying be mindful. You are not going to look like this Instagram model just because you're following the same plan she is. Yes, she looks amazing. And yes, she's working really hard. But you just got to think about yourself and think about what your body needs. So, I want to go into now the how to's of how to do a safe calorie cut. Because another thing you're going to want to avoid, and I'm kind of going over the things to avoid first, because these are the things that come to people's minds first. They are all the things that you see immediately when you go online. How to cut 500 calories in 5 days. I mean, come on, guys. We need to be smart here if we actually want to see results. So many of my clients have told me I want to lose weight. And in order to do that, that means you need to go into a cut phase. So, 2 things. Number one, you cannot do this in a short period of time, like we already said, which means if you want to be cutting calories, you have to start tracking your food, be aware of what is your maintenance calories so you can go slower and lower into a cutting phase, so less calories. And also so you know what it means to go overboard, which is when you're in a building phase or a bulking phase. So that's step number one. The problem is a lot of people don't know how to do that, and that's okay. There is maybe like 700 macro calculators out there, calorie calculators out there. Again, please use one that is created by a certified fitness, either influencer, trainer, or website. So, for example, I am a NASM certified personal trainer, and there is a NASM calorie counter. You can use that one, or calorie calculator. That's like a tongue twister. That is a valid one. There's also just a basic formula that everybody knows how to use who is a certified personal trainer. You can ask any personal trainer who should know that, by the way. It's in their textbooks that we all get when we become a personal trainer, and they can do it for you. And there's like certain numbers you have to add and take away. I don't want to go too into detail with that, but if you want more on it, you can feel free to DM me, and I'm happy to help you count your calories and help you create your macros, because everything is so individual. For me, I'm going to use my numbers as an example just because I want you to understand what I'm saying. My maintenance calories, which means the calories that I eat to maintain the way my body looks, is about 2,100 calories. That's 2,100 calories. I'm kind of guesstimating off the top of my head. So, in order to lose weight, I need to eat less than that. What you don't want to do is immediately drop 500 calories. So, if today I'm eating 2,100 calories, I am not going to only eat 1,600 calories tomorrow. I'm going to slowly cut my calories. That's why it's called a cutting phase, because essentially I am cutting out the food in a phase over time. If I could just do that and then tomorrow I could be 20 pounds less, literally nobody, guys, this would be so freaking easy, but it's not, because it takes hard work, it takes consistency, it takes patience, and it takes numbers. Yeah, you can do it without the numbers. I have a lot of clients also that find the numbers to be very daunting. They're like, Julie, I am not going to track. I don't use anything like that. I just eat when I'm hungry and I stop when I'm not. Okay. You can eyeball this a bit. You can slowly start to just make your portions a tad bit smaller. You also can incorporate more walking, you can drink more water, you can avoid sugar and alcohol, and you can try to cook from home more often and eat out less often. You can choose the more healthier options. So, if you are going out to a restaurant, maybe don't pick the burger and fries. Maybe go for the grilled chicken with mashed potatoes and green beans. I mean, if you're serious about this, guys, you're serious about this. If you want to see progress, you have got to put in the work. So maybe that means this is a time to start learning about the numbers. Maybe it means it's just a time to measure your food. Maybe it means you don't want to know about the exact calories, but I know that I typically eat about 4 servings of complex carbohydrates a day. So maybe I'll start with like 3.5, and then in another month go down to 3. Here's another thing you want to avoid. You want to avoid completely cutting out food groups, aka carbs and fats. Everybody that I have trained has been so afraid of carbs or fats. And they think that their protein sources are coming from things like peanut butter. It is insane to me because, number one, I love peanut butter, so I get it, but peanut butter is higher in fat than it is in protein. And number two, carbs give us energy and fats help regulate our hormones. But neither one of those is going to help us keep our muscle. Protein is. So all three of them are equally important, because when you lose one, you are imbalanced and you will not make the progress that you want to make. So it's important to make sure that you never completely cut a food group. With that being said, and honestly, with all of this being said, I would not start a cut seriously until you have consulted a doctor, a medical professional, a fitness professional, or somebody who is certified in this type of area, because you want to make sure you're doing it correctly in order to get the results you want, and in order to make sure you're healthy throughout this. The biggest mistake I see people make is they just stop eating, or they cut all the food, or they excessively exercise, or they fast for long periods of time. I mean, guys, this can be very dangerous if you don't know what you're doing. Now, I'm also not trying to scare you into thinking you can't do this, because you absolutely can. I mean, I can't sit with each of my clients and watch them cook their food and make sure they're measuring it, because I don't need to. We're all grown ups. We can do it, and you can too. It's about finding ways that make it work for you. Like we said with the calorie counting, maybe you're not really good with numbers, so maybe a food journal is just a great place to start. Maybe you are good with numbers. MyFitnessPal is my personal favorite. That's not an ad. I've been using MyFitnessPal now for 7 years, and I have been very thankful for it. It's really helped me. It's even got the thing where you can plug everything in for you. I mean, it's amazing. Um, there's ways to do it, guys. Like I said, maybe you're kind of afraid to start with the food concept. So you're like, you know what? Maybe I'm just going to walk more. Awesome. Maybe I'm going to just start drinking more water. Awesome. There is a lot of ways to start a cut that don't necessarily have to be you eat this many calories and you do this and you do that and you don't do this and you don't do that. It can happen even if you're not a certified personal trainer or nutrition coach. So I don't want this to discourage you. I just want you to be aware that there's a lot of fad programs and fad diets out there that just want your money because you're going to see immediate results and then it's going to bounce right back, or you're not going to see any results, which is going to make you want to keep doing it because you're like, oh, I got to keep going. So just be smart. If you ever feel like you've hit a point where you're like, I really don't know what I'm doing, I am going to highly recommend that you reach out to a personal trainer or a medical professional or somebody who knows what they're doing in terms of losing body fat. My inbox is always open, even if it's just for questions where you need some support, or if you need any kind of programming or one-on-one coaching. I'm happy to help you guys. You guys are my first priorities, of course. I want to help you guys as much as I can, which is why I've created this episode, because being that it's the new year, this is the question that I have heard the most. And I said, it is time to create a podcast episode on this. And even though I can't make an episode with direct, this is the calories and this is the macros and this and this is that, I can give you my best tips and advice. I do want you guys to remember, though, I am not a medical professional. This podcast is not meant to replace any advice of a medical professional. I am your friend who's here to try to help you. However, I am a certified personal trainer, nutrition coach, and women's fitness specialist. So I do have the certifications behind me, but there is always the important aspect of going to a doctor for something like this if you need to. So let's get into my own cut. I decided that this year I wanted to try a 4 to 6 month cut. I'm feeling like 6 months might be a little bit long. The average time frame is about 4 months. It can be done in 2, but that's a little short, and it means you did it kind of fast, which also can lead to more how do you call it? Like just like more bounce back. And 6 would be awesome, but that's a long time in a cut. So for me, we're going to see how I feel. What I'm going to do is every month I'm going to reevaluate my calories. I have it so that I am slowly cutting calories with 4 to 6 months time. I have a plan for 4 and I have a plan for 6, and we're going to kind of see how my body goes and go from there. My plan consists of me cutting 100 calories every month for 4 months, or me cutting 50 calories every month for 6 months. That's it. I'm not cutting 500 calories at once. If anything, I'm cutting approximately 400 to 450 calories within 4 to 6 months. Because, like we said, we want to take our time. The things I am doing is I am personally tracking. Like I said earlier, I love my Fitness Pal, and it has just been a great way for me to see how many carbs I've had, how much protein I've had, how much fats I've had. And as much as I try to have a balanced diet, sometimes, you're not thinking, or you really want this, so you add it in there, and then you're like, well, what could I have instead, or what could I add to this? And so, like, for example, the other day, I had pepperoni pizza. It was a frozen box that I made, and I made a bag salad, and I just felt like it wasn't a ton of protein. But I know that protein is a essential macronutrient, especially when doing a cut, because even though I'm trying to lose body fat, there is still the possibility that you could lose muscle. So a great way to preserve it is to continue strength training and to continue your protein intake. So I plugged in my pizza and I plugged in my salad on my Fitness Pal, and I was right. It was only about 15 grams of protein. And guys, that is not that much. 15 grams of protein is fine for like a protein bar or for a snack, but for a meal, you are not going to be full. I heard from a doctor who was a guest on the Mel Robbins podcast, Dr. G is her name, that your meals should consist of at least 30 grams of protein. 30. And I know some of you are like, oh my God, like that's so much chicken, that's so much turkey, that's so much yogurt, that's so much of whatever it is that you use for your protein source. It is, but you're supposed to have it spread out throughout the day. You're not supposed to have 100 grams in the morning and 100 grams at night. So you do want to continue keeping up your balanced meals and track your meals accordingly. If you don't use MyFitnessPal, you want to make sure you're writing down how much food you're having in a food journal. There are so many awesome food journals on Amazon, Etsy, you name it, they're out there. Or it can just be an empty journal where you write down the food that you've eaten, and I do recommend you write down how much. Because if you just write down chicken, rice, and green beans, I'm just saying that because it's an easy meal. I don't know how much chicken you had. You might not know how much chicken you had. A spoonful or a small chicken breast to me could mean 3 ounces, but to you, it could mean like 1 ounce. And those are vastly different amounts of protein. So you want to make sure that you're as accurate as you can be, because, like we said, we got to be cutting some of it. You want to make sure you're not cutting the protein. You want to make sure you're cutting from all over, not just the protein. So there is that in terms of the food. Water, 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 water all day long. I actually was not the best with water today. I am on day 4 in my cut. Not that I will be counting every single day. Oh, it's day 25, it's day 58. I mean, maybe I will, but I did just start this week because it's the new year. And I have not been amazing with my water. And that's okay too, because that leads me with my next point. You're not going to be perfect. There is going to be days, like myself today, I had Chick-fil-A and some French fries. I actually did count it just because out of curiosity. I pulled it up on MyFitnessPal and they had my spicy chicken sandwich and half of a medium fries that I shared with my sister. And I did not fit it in my calorie range, but I still tracked it just because I was curious. But you also don't have to, and that's okay. What you don't want to do is you don't want to say, okay, well, I can have like 3 days where I'm on and 3 days where I'm off, because that's not a cut. A cut is when you are as consistent as possible. Not perfect, but as consistent as possible. So for myself, I've allowed myself a couple of cheat meals within the week. Now, by a couple, I mean like 2. Like I really mean 2. For me, as an experienced trainer, this is something that I am trying to push myself on. Maybe for your first one, you want to say like a day, like a cheat day. And that's okay because it's your first time. You want to make sure you're doing it correctly. You want to give yourself grace. And what you really want to make sure is that you're not depriving yourself of food. That can be extremely dangerous for your mental health and your mental well being, and in severe cases, can lead to eating disorders. I have been down that route before where I started losing weight and I did it the beginner way. I just was mindful of what I ate. I said no to food too late at night because I didn't want it to upset my stomach and cause bloating. Um, I I remember I did cut out dessert because I was trying to avoid sugar. I drank a lot of water. I was dancing at the time. I danced for over an hour every day. So a little bit of excessive cardio. Remember, I was a beginner. Gosh, this is back in like 2012, maybe. Yeah, 2012. And I lost about, was it 40 pounds? Yeah, guys, I lost 40 pounds just by doing that. Now, yes, granted, I was much younger. My metabolism was going a little bit faster, but I committed, is my point. I got a little too skinny, though. I mean, 40 pounds was a lot, but granted, I also was overweight. to a point where my doctor was like, do you exercise? Like, do you maybe want to think about it? So you just got to be careful, guys, because then the opposite thing happened to me. I let my body go. And that's why I've practiced so many times picking myself back up, because there's been more than once where life happens and it's hard. And unfortunately, I think as hard as I've worked these past few years, these past couple of months, I let my body go. And that's honestly what leads me to this cut. I originally just wanted to lose about 10 pounds. Um, this part's hard, guys. And this is how you know that you got to make sure you're in a good mindset as well if you're going to do this. I was so set on a number. I used to be 150 pounds. Now, guys, I'm 5'9", so I'm really tall. And I was really thin at 150 pounds. And everyone always said to me, oh my God, you're so thin. You look so good. Well, that stuck in my head. So now I'm thinking, okay, 150 pounds is where I need to be, because this is where I look good. This is where I'm getting my self-acceptance from, because people think I look good. I got to keep this, because as a girl who was overweight until high school, obviously I need to keep this. Well, that came with just being thin, not being healthy, being thin. Those are two different things. Then I hit a point where I became really in love with weightlifting, knowing that I would gain some weight because I wanted to gain some muscle, but that number went up and it went up and it went up. And it took me to about 165. And I was good. I was good there. I had some soft spots and I didn't have the most shredded body, but I was confident and I felt good. I felt healthy. I was tracking, I was eating at maintenance, and I was happy. And then I don't know, guys. Honestly, you know what happened? COVID happened. COVID happened. Life got stressful. If you are a frequent listener of this podcast, you know that my life kind of went to hell. I got engaged, which is amazing, but I was planning a wedding, working 2 jobs. I had just bought a condo, and I was in grad school. And I thought I knew what self-care was, because, oh my God, here I am being successful, doing all these things, taking care of myself, and doing all these things. No, I was burnt. I was a candle that had been burnt all the way down to the bottom of the wick. And it's like that little bit that's left that's like still on fire, but like just like with a little knock would go out. That was me. So fast forward now, and even though I've grown so much and I've gone through some mini cuts here and there, and the holidays happen, so let's be honest, I've increased that number a bit. We're now at about 178, and I'm just not feeling my best. I'm not feeling my most confident. There's times that I look in the mirror and I look at the way I fit in clothes that I used to fit in when I was 160 pounds, 150 pounds, either one. And I still struggle. But I know that I can do this safely. And that's really what this whole thing is about. I know that if I ever hit a point where I am depriving myself, I'm doing it wrong. And I know that if I ever hit a point where my mental health starts to slip, I'm doing this wrong. And I got to stop. And that's okay too. So that tip is all about making sure that you're in a good headspace when you do this, because it can easily get skewed into you doing it for the wrong reasons. like I used to do, which was unfortunately to please other people. And even though I felt great, I looked great. I mean, guys, I wore a bikini for the first time in high school. And I remember being like, whoa, this is freeing. I look amazing. No wonder they wear bikinis. God, they look great. To a year or two ago, wearing a bikini and being like, oh my God, suck it in, suck it in, suck it in. Oh my God, this sucks. So I've been on both sides. And with that, you got to think of your why. Why are you doing this? Yes, to lose weight, but why? Do you have some health concerns? Did your doctor say so? Are you uncomfortable in your skin? Did someone tell you you needed to? Did you look in the mirror and just not like what you saw? Because some of those things you can't control, such as other people's opinions of you, and which they can kindly fuck off. But other things maybe aren't going to be fixed by a cut, like the way you look at yourself. Yeah, doing a safe cut is fine. If you are fine, though, if you are not mentally well, you will not be physically well. It's as simple as that. And it's something that I wish I told myself a lot more frequently than I have been now. So, for my answers to that question, yeah, I am. I am much better. I'm much more aware during this cut. And for me, it is a matter of it's just time for a change. It's time for a challenge for my body. It's time for me to take my fitness to a different level that I've taken it before, but I'm actually excited. I haven't done a 4-month cut in a while and I'm really excited. I've taken the progress photos. I've started um you know I have written down my weight. I don't have a horrible relationship with a scale, but I do know that that can be very dangerous as well because I've been there before where I had a horrible relationship with my scale. So, again, it comes in phases. It's also the same thing with tracking your food. There's been times where it was very detrimental for me to track something into my Fitness Pal, and now I'm like, "Oh my god, thank God for my Fitness Pal." So you have to know yourself and you have to have that strong relationship with what you know works for you and what isn't going to work for you. Again, if you don't know what that is, feel free to reach out to help. There's many resources of people who are qualified and able to help you find where to start based on your history and based on what you're willing to do. And with that, you got to have a plan. You can't just go in, like I said, and drop all the calories. You got to say, okay, here's what I'm going to do. Here is my promise to myself. Here is how long I'm going to do it for. Here is my why behind doing this. And how am I going to check in on myself to make sure that I'm still doing this for the right reason? This is actually pretty similar with bulking because sometimes it's not just about gaining muscle, just like this isn't always about losing fat. In the past, when I've done a cut, there was a time that I did a cut and I lost equal amount fat and muscle. So that was a lesson for me to increase my protein, to increase my lifts and make sure I wasn't decreasing them, which is another thing to keep in mind. Please strength train during a cut. I highly, 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 highly recommend it. If you want to maintain your muscle mass, which you do during a cut, you need to maintain your strength training. So if you are deadlifting 100 pounds, do not drop to 90. Try to stay at 100 as much often as you can. Is that a sentence? As much frequently, as often as you can. You do not want to compromise things that don't need it. Yeah, there's going to be times when 100 pounds feels super easy and then 100 pounds feels super hard. You can modify the reps or you can modify it to like 95 pounds. But please try as much as you can, especially in the beginning, to lift the same weight you were lifting before. I really think you will be able to maintain your lifts throughout. Again, every person's body is different, and you do have to check in with yourself often. For some people, that means weekly. For some people, it means daily. For some people, it means monthly. You do have to check in. You need to have a way of tracking your progress, and you need to have an end date. A cut is not meant to be a lifestyle. I think this is something that a lot of people get stuck in. They want to lose weight their whole life. And that is not it's not feasible, guys. We can't lose weight all year round. We will never lose weight if we are always trying to lose weight all year round, because then eventually my calories would hit zero, and that is not okay. We need to hit points where maybe we are cutting, and then we move back up to maintenance. And then maybe we do like a mini bulk because I want to grow some muscle, and then I go back down to maintenance. And then maybe because I was on that bulk, I put on a little extra fat, so I'll do another cut. It is about cycling. Or if you're not about that life, which is fine, some people don't like looking at it that way, how can you look at this as a way of making this just your lifestyle? About making healthy choices. What can you implement now that will not only help you lose weight, but it'll help you maintain a healthy lifestyle? Because with that, you will lose weight. Go for walks every day, drink your water. In my very first episode of the Busy Life podcast, I talk about my 5-finger rule to success. And that episode, I still stand by it. Those 5-finger tips are the single-handed most important things that you will need to do in order to live a healthy lifestyle. I want you to go back and listen to that episode if you haven't done so, but essentially you need good quality sleep, you need stress management tools, you need to drink your water, you need to move your body, and you need to make sure you're fueling your body properly. So for more on that, go back to that episode, because that episode is filled with gold that you can be using as a supplement to this episode. But what I really want you to do at the end of all of this is love your body. Love your body from the beginning to the end. Like I said earlier, you will not do this successfully, and you will not be successful if you are not in a good headspace. Yes, avoid all the scam programs. Be smart about where you're starting and how you're going to do this, and commit to your goals. Don't have excessive cheat days. Drink your water, avoid your sugar. I mean, all the things that you could probably type into Google and find are accurate. But the one thing they don't always tell you is that you need to have a healthy mindset, and you need to make sure you're doing this for you and for the right reasons. If you are already, and I'm just going to say this, if you are already so tiny and you're just doing this because you're scared, or because someone told you, or because you look in that mirror and you don't even know what you see anymore, I would like you to consider speaking to a health professional before you do so. Again, I am not a licensed therapist or medical professional, or in any way, shape, or form somebody who can tell you to go to a doctor. But as a personal trainer and as your friend, I care about you. And I want to make sure that anytime you start something like a cut, you are doing it for the right reasons. And you'll know when you are. You will. When you are, it feels like you're doing it because you want to, and you're happy and you're excited and you have a positive outlook on it. Like when I think about this, I am so flipping excited, guys. Like I haven't done a cut like this in over 2 years. So I am so excited, and I can't explain it. This is just something that I know my body needs. I know that it's going to work. I am manifesting all the positivity towards it. And it just makes me feel so good. If you are not in that point, I just want you to put in a little bit of work first. And then maybe you can. And it'll help you clarify your why. It's a new year, everybody has goals, and the last thing I want to do is tell you not to achieve your goals, but maybe there's a different goal that you really want to be achieving. Maybe it's the goal of learning how to love yourself. Maybe it's the goal of learning how to avoid what other people think because what they think of you is not important. What you think of you is important. And if you do choose to begin a calorie cut, I am happy to help you as much as I possibly can. Whether that means you want to follow me and I will follow you back and we'll go through each other's stories and I'll like them. I'll send you a virtual high five. We can check in with each other. I mean, whatever you guys need, I want to support you as much as I can. And with that being said, I'm going to leave us there. I could go on a whole soapbox extra of how to do a cut. One day I will go through, what it means to maintain and what it means to do a proper bulk, because that is a whole other thing as well. But for now, I just want to make sure that you guys are going into the new year with a healthy mindset. You're maintaining that mindset. You are doing things safely and for the right reason. And as always, thank you, thank you, thank you for all the love and support that you have given me on this podcast and given my team. We love you guys so much. We hope you enjoyed the episode and we can't wait to talk to you next time.